What's up? It's Elijah Campbell from 107.5 The Game and the post-game show, here to give you one of my favorite sponsored segments, brought to you by our friends over at Modern Exterminating. Shout out my man Glenn Matthews. This is what's bugging me, because Modern Exterminating knows what bugs you. Time for me to tell you what's been bugging me. And what's been bugging me this week has definitely been the impact on Nico Iamaleava's career, seemingly brought on to him by the people that represent him. So maybe not just the impact, I am bugged more by the people that are running the show behind the scenes, and maybe not be doing so in the smartest way to achieve the best interest of their child or the person they represent. Clearly, Nico Iamaleava, represented by a former high school coach in California, and his dad, Nick, and the way that they've handled it. And I don't want to completely absolve Nico Iamaleava of any doing things the wrong way, because still he's the one who did not show up to practice. He is the one that is still ultimately responsible and has the final say of how his career goes. But the people representing him, I don't think, did him any favors. And that bugs me a little bit. It bugs me because if you really want to get more money, which is totally fine and acceptable, I understand anybody trying to make more money for themselves and better themselves and improve their futures and get as much money as you can in the college football window that you have. You only have 4 years to make as much money at the college level as humanly possible. And I don't mind him wanting to transfer to a place where he feels like he can get that. But the way they handled it, and the way they did, not only is rubbing other teams the wrong way, it is going to cost him money, because it was announced today that he's more than likely going to be going to UCLA. Colin Cowherd tweeted out earlier today that it was almost a done deal that he's going to UCLA, and I can almost guarantee you that UCLA is not going to be able to pay him $4 million. I'd be stunned if they paid him $4 million. So not only is the timing of this bad, because if you enter the portal in the December portal window for a quarterback, that's gold, because you have your pick of the litter almost. A guy with his measurables, with his talent that everybody in the country knows he has. He's not a complete product. He still missed a lot of downfield throws for the Vols last year. He also had some games where Tennessee had to win despite him maybe not playing particularly well. And in the biggest games of the year, he didn't have great games. And really, when I think 11 of his 19 touchdowns came against Vanderbilt, UTEP, Tennessee, Chattanooga, I want to say maybe NC State, but teams that did not go, the exception of Vanderbilt, teams that didn't go bowling. So his sample size, compared to someone like Carson Beck, who's kind of the contract or the NIL deal that is being compared with to get that $4 million number. He was currently at $2.2 million at Tennessee. There's not enough production to maybe justify paying him that type of money. So he didn't have a ton of leverage, but if he did go in the winter portal window, he'd be the most highly sought-after quarterback because of that potential. Teams would be lining up, and teams would more than likely be able to get you what you want. Somebody like Miami would be willing to spend $4 million for your services. A school like Oklahoma, who was quarterback hunting in the transfer portal and ended up going with John Mateer from Washington State, they were definitely in the market for quarterbacks. They definitely would have been interested. So, just the pool of schools and teams that you could go to that were quarterback thirsty is significantly larger than it is in the spring portal window. And you saw the options that were reported by Pete Nakos at On3, where the options initially were UCLA, North Carolina, Tulane. And that pool of schools would have been significantly better and more equipped to get you what you want. So not only is it a bad PR look to not only skip practice and make it look like a holdout, it's also a bad look when Nick Iamaleava goes on Twitter, and I can say this on YouTube, he calls Pete Nakos a bitch. And look, man, if I'm one of those people that if you want to call somebody a word like that, at least have the stones to type it out and spell it out, all right? If it's a word too bad for you to not want to spell on your own personal Twitter, don't call anyone that. Just don't. It's unbecoming. And it makes you look a little less manly too, because there's nothing less manly than calling somebody a name that you don't even feel brave enough to type out on your own. So that's one thing. That's pretty annoying in itself. That bugged me alone. The tweet bugged me alone, especially considering Pete Nakos was right. He was right the entire time, because you know what happened the next day? You skip practice, and then the school moves on from you. So yeah, there's no worse way, rather, to try to dispute a report than when the report ends up being right. So that's a foul on Nico Iamaleava. But then the mishandling of all of this, making yourself slightly radioactive to other schools, and then ultimately coming out with less money than you thought you were going to get isn't a great play. And let's be honest, UCLA's offense is not going to be more quarterback friendly than Tennessee's. And I know that's one of the reasons why the source that told Colin Cowherd was that it wasn't money, it was the offense. I don't buy that for a second, because there's not a quarterback friendly offense that gives you the freedom to do what you want as a quarterback than playing at that kind of veer and shoot, fast up-tempo offense that Tennessee provides. And if the offense was really that big of a concern, then after 1 year of starting in it, you'd probably know by the end of the year that you don't want to be in that offense anymore. And you're not going to ask Josh Heupel to change his offense. So you would have entered the transfer portal in the winter, when you would have had significantly more options and a pick of the litter of schools to go to that best suits your needs as a football player. So I don't buy that. I do believe it's 100% money, which is fine, by the way. I got no problem with the decision being money-based. But if you're going to make a decision that's money-based, doing it smartly and allowing yourself to have as many options as possible is the move. And waiting until the last possible second to try to out-leverage Tennessee in this situation and separating yourself from an already really good deal just seems really short-sighted. So that's what's bugging me. I'm Elijah Campbell. Shout out to our friends at Modern Exterminating. They know what bugs you. Hit up my man Glenn Matthews at pestfreesc.com and they can hook you up. Well, we'll definitely be talking about this a lot more on our show and all throughout the college football offseason leading to all the spring games. But, yeah, got to get it off my chest. That's what's bugging me this week. I'll be back, at any time to tell you next week about what's bugging me for next week. But for this week, it's definitely the way the Iamaleavas have handled this whole situation.